Good morning and happy Feel Good Financial Friday on this 9th day of September 2022. I am George Kroustalis, your host. With me, as always, my co-host extraordinaire, Kim Landseal, financial literacy consultant, and Sam Castellan, real estate development expert. As we do every Friday, giving you the 30,000-foot view on the current financial landscape and much more. And this morning, we are going to begin with the more section as we, are paying tribute with the rest of the world, really, to the Queen, Queen Elizabeth II, of course, who passed yesterday at the age of 96, a rule that lasted 7 decades. And this morning had a great quote: anyone who's under the age of 70 knows no different. And that is the majority of the world. So our thoughts and condolences, of course, to the royal family. It's a little past the 10 a.m. hour. Markets are up quite nicely, actually, roughly 1%, a little more in the tech-heavy NASDAQ this Friday morning. And if we hold on to these gains, it will mark the first time in 4 weeks we're actually going to snap a 3-week losing streak. So what happened this week? Well, besides selling exhaustion, or sellers exhaustion as they refer to it sometimes, you also had interest rates the last 2 days sort of back off. The US dollar retreated as well, which is a big theme in global markets right now. And we'll just begin there. I mean, it has been, the big story is King Dollar, as they call it. That's the strength of the US dollar against other currencies. Let me just give you what we're looking at as far as highs against the other major currencies. It's a 25-year high against the yen. It's a 20-year high against the euro, and again, a 27-year high against the British pound. Now, what does this mean? Well, if you are traveling to any of these countries, you have the buying power. Your dollar will buy more yen, more euro, and more British pounds than it has in any time over the last 2+ decades. But what does it mean in business? Well, multinationals, and that is companies that sell products abroad. Think of global companies, Coca-Cola, Microsoft. Let's face it, most companies, unless they're a small micro cap company selling only to domestic, most companies are global today. And if those US-based companies are selling goods overseas, they are making, in effect, less because the dollar is higher. And when you sell in Europe, you are collecting euros, then have to exchange them in dollars. So it actually works the opposite. Great if you're traveling, not so good if you are selling goods in the country. That's a quick, international finance 101 there for you. Anyways, our co-hosts have a lot more to discuss in our markets here and our economy here. And I know Kim is going to start us off here with wages and one of our favorite topics and one we hit on every Friday, which is real estate. Kim, what do you got?
Good morning from Billings, Montana. So traveling here has been very interesting and been very lovely, but, got to get back to the real life of doing my job. So I'm kind of following what's happening in regards to minimum wage. So the minimum wage hasn't really changed much in, several years. So if we all remember about a couple of years ago, people were kind of fighting for the $15 an hour wage for minimum wage, but it didn't really happen. It kind of almost happened, the market really decided, and a lot of people were, getting that $15 an hour. Well, now they're looking at $20 an hour. So they're really pushing that. That's because of inflation. So how does that work? So you've got a lot of job seekers out there still. There's a lot of jobs out there. And once they get offered $15, $17 an hour, they're asking for a little bit more. So this doesn't necessarily, just stick for the hourly wage workers. It's also the salary workers. So, we have an instance in our life of a good friend of ours, as he had actually looked for a job. He was offered 6 months ago $106,000 for an engineering job. Well, guess what? He's back on the job market, and he actually just has a solid job offer. It's going to require a change in cities and move in cities, but he's making $122,000. So, that's really looking up for for the people that are actually working or looking to get an increase in wages. So why do we need these increase in wages? Because of inflation. We all know what's happening with inflation. Seems like goods have sort of leveled off a little bit, but the services, they continue to rise, or, maybe they're leveling off just not quite as easily as the goods are. So if you're looking at things like, food, when you go out to eat, again, I've talked about that before, accommodations in hotels, as we travel, I can promise you, we're paying easily $100 more a night for a hotel room in the same type of area that we were going to go to, the same part of the country where we were going to last year. But you know what? We got to do what we got to do, and we have to travel. So, what does that really mean for consumers? We have to sort of, look around and see what offers we can get. Is it because of the summer, price increases? Is it a gouge? I don't know. But because of the inflation, allegedly, maybe, are we in a recession? Are we not? And then I'm going to kind of talk, I want to kind of bring down the point that there's actually people that are back to looking to purchase homes. We see the decrease in prices, and I'm looking at markets here in Billings, Montana, and it's definitely happening, but they have to see if it's actually a recession, because when it was polled, I think it was one of the, I think it might have been Forbes magazine or one of the magazines, money magazines, 44% of people would be willing to make a home purchase if they believe a recession is in store. I don't know if it makes a lot of sense, but I'm going to ask Sam what he kind of thinks about that.
Yes, Sam, to give you a sort of a leeway here, I did see just this morning data released that in the month of July, 21% of sellers of homes across the U.S., this is a national number, actually reduced their price, which hasn't happened in years, especially that high a number.
Yeah, it's quite interesting, George, because we all saw what happened in the pandemic boom in the housing market. All prices increased about 40% in the last 2 years, and yet we are seeing the highest downturn on that, or the most representative in many years. We have companies like Fitch reporting that they think that next year there's going to be a decline in prices for about 15%. But yet not everyone agrees. We see companies like Zillow, that is the standard in the housing market for sellers online, as well as Wells Fargo and other entities reporting that they think that the market is going to keep increasing prices next year for 2 to 5%. Yet, as you said, like Redfin, for instance, reported that in the month of July, they saw a 34% pricing cuts in all the housing market across the 95 most important U.S. markets. So there has been some price cuts, and definitely we see that important downturn. Now, in other topics, I just wanted to mention, and I just wanted to thank everyone, because last week we crossed the mark of 200 subscribers in our channel. So I just wanted to thank everyone that is out there following you, George, for being part of this project. And as part of that, starting next week, we're going to start a new mini series from within this that is going to be called From Scratch, because our subscribers are asking us to explain from scratch some concepts of what we discussed, such as what is Bitcoin, what is cryptocurrency, what is the Federal Reserve. And so they just want to go and see the details on these topics and these concepts. So I'm going to start explaining that next week. And that's going to be a little within section on this starting next week.
We love it. We love it, Sam. Thank you for bringing that up. And as Sam mentioned, none of this is made possible without you. So thank you, viewers. Thank you for joining us. And always please remember to subscribe, like, and share to get the word out. It's the first weekend of the NFL. The season actually kicked off last night with the Bills defeating the Rams. It's an exciting time for sports fans, as the NFL is still, king of the house. Anyways, hope everyone has a fantastic weekend. We look forward to seeing you next Friday. Until then, adios.